Hello, this is Jeff here with a rant on drone regulations, which is kind of unusual, but, well, fits in my outdoors playlist because I did some videos with a drone. First off, I'm going to get out of the way. I own a drone. I own a Phantom 2 Vision Plus from DJI. It is right here. You can't see it because I'm not actually videoing myself, but it's plastic and weighs about 3.5, 4 pounds. I woke up and saw this headline: Federal regulators to require registration of recreational drones. No. You can't do that. And here's why they can't do this. This document here, is the FAA Modernization Reform Act of 2012. Page 72, Section 336, Special Rule for Model Aircraft. And it basically says that, you can read it right here, the FAA cannot promulgate any rule or regulation regarding a model aircraft or aircraft being developed as a model if the aircraft is to be flown strictly for hobby or recreational use, and 2, the aircraft is operated in accordance with community-based set of safety guidelines within the programming of the nationwide community-based organization, the Aeronautical Modelers Association, which is based off of some rules made in the 50s, which says that you cannot fly a remote-controlled aircraft within 5 miles, and most of these things are controlled airspace, so you don't have the authorization to fly within 5 miles of an airport anyway. You can get authorization from the FAA, in theory, to fly within 5 miles of an airport. Odds are you're never going to get it, so don't bother. Also, the rules say that you can't fly over 400 feet. Now, there have been some debates on that you could fly higher because the Category G airspace, which is the uncontrolled airspace, ends around 1,500 feet above ground level, where there's no FAA control of that airspace because there's no airports and it's below normal flight levels. But really, don't fly over 400 feet. And don't fly within 5 miles of an airport. That's pretty much it. And there's a couple of other ones the AAMA promotes, like don't fly over people, don't fly over crowds, don't fly over houses, don't fly over roads, and so on. And they do a pretty good job of it. The rules are actually, I've read them all, they're quite thorough. And here's the FAA popping up going, we're going to make recreational users register all their drones. Well, no, you can't. Sorry, Section 336 of this 2012 law says you can't. So that's my first thing right there. You can't. You have the FAA has no legal authority to make anyone register a drone. 2 practical reasons for this. You put a registration number on that drone, it's small, so it's not going to be big enough for people to see from a distance and read it. 2, the drone's plastic. If it hits something, it shatters. You're not going to have a registration number left on the drone to trace it back to the pilot. Particularly if it gets hit by another aircraft. It's just going to shatter into a million pieces. So your goal of being able to track down people who do stupid stuff, you're not going to be able to do that because there's going to be nothing left to track down with. Which is another problem. And 3, the stupidity of it. Because here are these drones that weigh less than 5 pounds. And here, we'll look at the FAR 103, which is the ultralight vehicles. Actual planes. Planes that carry a person, the pilot, and the plane weighs 254 pounds empty. So you can buy a plane that weighs 254 pounds, has 5 gallons of fuel in it, and can do 55 knots. And, well, there are no regulations on it. You don't need a pilot certification. You don't need a vehicle certification. You don't need a vehicle registration. And they prefer that the ultralight community just assumes the initiative of doing that. And yet, you can't do that. The AMA can't take over that for drones, even though they let the ultralights do that. And the ultralight's an aircraft that carries a person and fuel. And imagine what happens if a 254-pound plane crashes into a house or crashes into another plane. So it's like, why are these people here with smaller aircraft that can't really cause any damage being held to a higher standard than these other people flying actual airplanes that carry people around. There's something wrong here. Now, if you're if you want to fly drones commercially, I believe you should register. I want to fly my drone commercially, and for that, I want to get a registration to fly my drone correctly, and I want to proudly display a registration number on my drone for commercial flights to make money. I believe commercial operators should be held to a higher standard for operations than hobbyists, because commercial flyers are doing it, 1, for a living, and 2, a hell of a lot more often than the hobbyist. The hobbyist might be flying once a month. That commercial guy will be flying every day. And possibly, depending on the operator, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Because I know Amazon wants to do deliveries with these things. And I believe those should be registered. Both for, well, lots of reasons. They need to be registered for liability. They need to be registered for tracking. They need to be registered for statistics. And they need to be registered to find out what company is doing bad shit. But again, if companies are doing bad shit, you can't see the number. There's no way to really track them. So, yeah, if you're commercial operation using drones, yeah, you should register, and that's what the FAA Modernization Act was all about. Getting these things to be put into the airspace to be used for commercial purposes, and commercial purposes means you need to register. If you're a hobbyist, the FAA has no authority to make you register these things because Congress explicitly took that authority away from them. So if they actually go through with this, I really hope someone sues them and just get it thrown out in court. They have no authority to do it. But if you're a commercial user, yeah, you better be prepared to register these things. And I believe if you're a commercial user, you should be registering these things. Just for your own liability. It'll make your insurance rates lower probably too once they figure out how the frick to do all this insurance for these things. But if you're a hobbyist, no. You don't need to. And there's no legal compelling they can do, no matter what they claim, to make you register your drones. And after all, this is really, it's the government. It's the FAA making a registration system. You know this is just going to be to bill the crap out of you later, probably. Or confiscation. And the fact they just don't have the legal authority to do it because Congress took it away from them makes it all the dumber. So, I'm done. Hopefully this time the rant is under 10 minutes. See ya.